A very good morning to everybody, and welcome to Van Nuys, to the City Council chambers here for our meeting of February 6th, 2009. We are here in Van Nuys, where we come the first Friday of each month in our efforts to bring City Council closer to all Angelenos. Council President Eric Garcetti, and joined by my colleagues who are here on time, Council Members Cardenas, Gruhl, Huizar, and Zine. Before we establish a quorum and begin the regular business, each Friday we have special presentations for members of the council who are either marking special occasions, celebrating heroes in our community, and other notable occasions. We have three such presentations scheduled for today. I'd like to recognize the councilwoman from the 2nd District for our first presentation, Councilwoman Wendy Gruhl.
You'll be presenting, okay. Great. Morning. Morning. Nice to see you. Morning. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. President. And I'm honored to be here today with the California Highway Patrol Southern Division Assistant Chief Dan Bauer, Captain Jeff Goodwin, and our Officer Leland Tang, who's kind of, I know he's with the CHP, but we kind of think he's with the city of LA some days. So, as well as I haven't seen Earl Patienter, but I know we have Chief Michael Moore and Captain Jim Miller to honor the following three Van Nuys officers: Officer Eric Hammerschmidt, Officer Edgar Cruz, and Officer Isadora Villafana. Did I say that right? Okay. These officers really displayed unflinching courage, unwavering commitment to duty, and exemplified respect for human life at great peril to themselves on Sunday, June 1st last year. On this date, a father, Homer Marcello, and his 15-year-old daughter, Gianella, got into a multiple vehicle accident on the San Diego Freeway in Van Nuys. Within seconds after the accident, the vehicle became fully engulfed in flames and the passengers were trapped. These officers came to the aid of the family, and they bravely attempted to take the father and daughter out of the burning car. They were assisted by some brave civilians that are with us today. Our family members? Yes. That were there and who witnessed the accident were including Christine Ann Williams and Michael Wayne Smith. Unfortunately, the passengers passed away, but these officers' heroic efforts are not forgotten. And because of their extraordinary bravery, they will be receiving the California Highway Patrol Commissioner's Commendation today, the highest accolade from CHP Commissioner's Office, and usually only reserved for CHP officers who go above and beyond the call of duty. Colleagues, we know that our officers risk their lives every single day, just sometimes being a police officer and driving down the street as CHP officers do. But there are moments in time where these officers demonstrate their courage and their willingness to risk their lives in extraordinary circumstances. And today, that is why we're honoring these three officers for their bravery. And we want to thank them for that and what they do every single day. But not often enough do we say thank you. And so this, in the City Council, Mr. President, as you know, gives us an opportunity to really do that and for the public to understand. So if they get sometimes stopped for a traffic ticket or something else, you know, they realize that these people are risking their lives for us. And so it is really my distinct honor. And I would like to ask, before we present the honors we have from the Highway Patrol, and we also have our own presentation, is to ask CHP Chief Bauer to speak and say a few words.
Thank you very much, council members and Mr. President. I'm representing Commissioner Farrow today, who was going to be here, but unfortunately is at the funeral of the Culver City sergeant who died in the line of duty last week. And so, but I have the great honor of representing him. He does not usually issue these Commissioner of the Highway Patrol commendations except for within our department, but this was such an extraordinary situation that he felt warranted. These three officers did the unnatural thing, and instead of running away from this fully engulfed fire like most people do, which was on a freeway and CHP was en route and it's our jurisdiction, They could have easily just made the call, made sure that we were en route, and continued on, but instead they stopped their car. They walked through stopped traffic, and in one case, one officer drove the wrong way to get to this scene to help these people who were in peril, and at a great risk of to their lives, because this car was fully engulfed, and they were able to pull the driver out and made valiant attempts to rescue the passenger. And so they did the unnatural thing, which is to run towards the hazard instead of running away. And so I'm very proud to represent the Commissioner today and present these commendations. I have one for each of the three officers. I'm just going to read one of them because it summarizes what they did. On June 1st, 2008, at 8 o'clock, you and your partner are traveling southbound 405 near Victory. You came upon a Nissan Altima on fire, blocking the number 2 lane with several civilian vehicles blocking the southbound freeway. Due to stopped traffic, you and your partner had to leave your patrol car 50 yards from the fire and approach on foot. You broke out the driver's window and were successful in rescuing the driver. You then turned your attention to the passenger, and although your rescue attempts were unsuccessful due to the intensity of the fire, you made a valiant effort to save her. Your selfless act of bravery on this occasion demonstrates the sincerest commitment to the citizens of the City of Los Angeles and the State of California. And this is signed from the Commissioner of the California Highway Patrol. Oh, there you go. Thanks, sir. And Officer Cruz. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. And we have the distinct honor as well to have Chief Pacenger, who is here today as well, to say a few words. I saw you sneak in. Come on in.
Thank you, ma'am. Members of the council, I'm pleased to be here speaking for the Chief of Police. I think the bravery of these officers go really unnoticed sometimes. Their day-to-day activities, the things that they do, the actions really speak to the spirit of the Los Angeles Police Department. I'm just here to add my voice to those of our partners from the California Highway Patrol. The action of the officers today is something that we see on a daily basis throughout the LAPD. Their heroism, their bravery, and the true public spirit of the Los Angeles Police Department. So again, I'm very pleased to be here today just to put an exclamation point on their work and what they know to be a life's work and something that I know all of us believe in. So thank you very much. I appreciate the time and opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've got a couple council members. We've over time. Mr. Zine and then Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you, Mr. President, and to the officers who really acknowledge congratulations to you. And I want to recognize that this is such a significant event. You have the command staff of the police department, captains, lieutenants, deputy chiefs, assistant chiefs, members of the California Highway Patrol, and it's a significant endeavor that you folks did that we want to recognize. And my colleague, Councilmember Wendy Gruhl, who is always there in support of the members of the department, we all support the rank and file of the LAPD. But it's inspiring to see the command staff, and I know it's a rainy day, traffic's a mess, and for the command staff, like Earl Pacinger, has to travel a long way in that traffic, unlike some of us who have a short jaunt from our residence, like Wendy and I. We appreciate that. But it shows you, the rank and file, that your command staff's behind you, your council's behind you, and the people of Los Angeles are behind you. So congratulations to you and to our friends of the California Highway Patrol. Always remember Gordon Graham's comments: all roads, all codes. Well, LAPD is there helping you on the roads of Los Angeles. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cardenas.
I just wanted to add my thanks to all of you officers, and I think that you're representative of the thousands and thousands of sworn officers right here in Los Angeles who you demonstrated that when you go to work every day, you don't know what's going to face you, but whether it's a fire or whether it's someone trying to attack a victim or you or what have you, you run toward the situation and you handle it. And it takes a special kind of person to actually do that. And it's wonderful to see that you're all doing all right. I hope, I expect. These are very, very traumatic situations and instances, and you get it done. And I just wanted to thank you so much for demonstrating why we appreciate you so much and why we should appreciate you. And unfortunately, sometimes it seems like people just get used to you being who you are and doing what you do and take it for granted. I do remember, I'm not going to mention the person's name or anything like that, but I remember, it reminds me of a young man who was 16 years old, and in 1971, on the 4th of July, he saved somebody from drowning. And the coroner report showed that he had an old football injury, and in the process, he injured himself in saving this victim, and he died in the process. But the victim lived. And my point is, I just remember, because I knew this person. I was a little boy. He was 16 years old. And I remember him saying, even at that young age, I want to be a police officer. It's in your blood. And you do it every day. Congratulations.
Mr. Labange.
Mr. President, thank you. I was driving the speed limit out here from City Hall. I was. And I always have a question. I got to ask the CHP about the solid line on Highland, but I will ask afterwards. But Wendy, I got the tail end, and this is what we all do in some capacity. What's the beautiful thing about the city of Los Angeles, the state of California, anyone in public service, is they take an oath to serve the public, and they put the public first. And as Mr. Cardis and Mr. Zine says, you don't know what awaits you each day, but in the face of the training that you have, you respond, and that's the beauty of the police department. That's the beauty of the heritage of the Los Angeles Police Department, celebrating, I believe, 140 years this year. And that's the beauty of the California Highway Patrol that protects people throughout the state for traffic. Traffic is an avoidable challenge. We all feel damage when there's violent crime, and it is a psyche that hurts us. But we can, in traffic, find ways to help people make it home. Your response to this incident was instantaneous, and that's why you got this award from the CHP. I want to thank the CHP and also remind that on October 4th, we will celebrate again 10-4 Day, which also may go and coincide with the 100th anniversary. I believe the motorized units of LAPD working together, serving the people. It's all the same people. I just want to thank you. And Ms. Gruhl, thank you for your continued leadership in bringing to attention events like this that need the recognition. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Mr. Labange, all your traffic questions can be answered in traffic school.
Thank you, and it's my pleasure to present as well proclamations to, and if we'll call each of them individually so we can give a hero's welcome here in the City Council. Isadora Villafana. Let's give a great round of applause for all of you. And Eric Hammerschmidt. And last but not least, Edgar Cruz. They are our true heroes, and we thank you very much for this presentation today. And I think, yes.
I'd just like to point out that one officer who's got, I think, 4 hash marks, he's got at least 20 years of service with the Los Angeles Police Department, and the other officers, I don't think have any hash marks. One hash mark, 5 years of service. So it shows that they're all working at that level of dedication and service to the people, whether you have 1 hash mark or 4 hash marks, the years of service, dedication. So congratulations, Wendy.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Zine.
Thank you.
We're going to move. Where do you want us to do? Right over here?
Congratulations to you all. Our next presentation will be by Councilmember Ed Reyes.
Morning, Council. I'd like to invite my guests to join me. Good morning, buenos dias. Colleagues, 2 weeks ago, the LAPD opened the newest police division in the city, the Olympic Division. For many local residents, it's the beginning of a new era. But for my guests this morning, it's an end of an era, and yes, the start of a new one as well. We're honoring this morning Susana Deguin, and Alfredo Menjivar in memoriam, because they were the two original founders of one of the first neighborhood watch programs in Pico Union, along with the Rampart Division. I must say, Ms. Menjivar has joined us today, but is a little shy this morning. Prefers to sit with the audience. But she is joining us as well in spirit. Si gustan acompañarnos, I'm going to force her to come on up. Has aplicado mucho también, señora. They both live on Arapahoe Street, which for many years was one of the most dangerous streets in Rampart Division. Today, the street is one of the safest streets, but now in the new Olympic Division. Mr. Menjivar passed on from this earth last year after many years of illness. Today, Susana not only continues to serve as the chairperson of the local neighborhood watch, which now covers many other streets in the neighborhood, but now she is a local historian. Her tales of the street and how it was cleaned up can serve as a strong storyline for a crime novel. Susana will be the first to tell you that she and her neighbors could not have done what they did without the full commitment of the Los Angeles Police Department. She worked with many senior lead officers over the years and had perhaps taught them many different styles of how to approach these issues. But in the end, they were the LAPD officers ready to protect and serve. And we were just commenting this past week at a neighborhood watch meeting, and we talked about the possibility of getting all the senior leads that had gone through her neighborhood watch, going back almost 15, 20 years. And today you will find that many of these same senior lead officers are captains, high-ranking management staff, one which was Chief Moore, who's just standing with us today, who also served in Rampart. So I was thinking perhaps they can become part of a training program for our up-and-coming officers. All kidding aside, as with other many community leaders throughout the city, her efforts have meant much time away from her family. Susana has sacrificed many things, but a walk through her street today serves as its own reward. Some of the countless projects that Susana and Mr. Menjivar created for the neighborhood include monthly neighborhood meetings, mobile community workshops, new lighting districts, dozens of nuisance abatement cases with the city attorney, demolitions of abandoned properties, and on and on. There was a time that on her street, I remember very clearly, the neighborhood folks, the stakeholders, took the risk of actually taking brooms and sweeping down their streets, not only on Arapahoe, but Magnolia and all the streets surrounding, right in front of the hornet's nest that were the drug dealers holding units where they held their guns, and with a lot of bravery, they continued to clean and sweep. Perhaps it's a loss for Rampart, but it's definitely a gain for Olympic Division. So today, we close the Rampart chapter of her life, but begin the Olympic portion. On behalf of the thousands of police officers that walked through the Rampart Division over the 25 years, thank you for your commitment, for making our city a safer place, a more caring place for our families. And Mr. Menjivar, rest in peace. Gracias, señora, por los sacrificios también. Más unas pocas palabras de español. Más quiero decir gracias por estar aquí. Sabemos que muchos sacrificios se han demostrado por los años, pero era para el beneficio de la ciudad, para las familias, y más que nada, para la juventud que en el futuro van a aprender de ejemplo que ustedes han demostrado. Muchas gracias. I'd like to ask Mrs. Ana Erguín if she'd like to share a few words. Por favor, unas palabras. Inglés o español, como quieres.
Me encuentro un poco nerviosa, bastante de pensar en el recorrido de tantos años voluntaria en mi comunidad, pero ha sido un sacrificio que a la vuelta de los años nos hemos dado cuenta que no salimos de nuestras propiedades, sino...
Se permite,
Que no salimos.
Good morning. I'm a little bit nervous, but I've been very grateful to have had the opportunity to serve as a volunteer in our community, because for many, many years we were not able to come out freely and feel secure out of our homes.
Y al ver que nuestras calles están limpias, que nuestros niños pueden salir seguros para sus casas, y ver que el crimen salió más del 70% de mi área, con eso me siento más que agradecida, y con la ayuda del concejales y de la policía.
And I'm very satisfied because now we're able to come out of our homes, our children are able to come out and play and feel secure and feel protected, and also to notice that the crime rate has been reduced by about 70% in our community. I'm very grateful to that. I thank our police department and also our wonderful City Councilman Reyes for his support.
Así que, thank you, muchísimas gracias, y seguiremos trabajando con mucho amor para la comunidad.
Thank you very much.
No, está bien. Okay.
Thank
Mr.
you
Reyes,
very much. Thank you very much. We'll continue working for the benefit of our community.
thank you. Mr. Rizar.
Very much. And Mr. Reyes, if you would indulge me for a moment, I first want to thank you for bringing this hero to our attention. And I wanted to thank Susana Arguin, because sometimes we as residents in a particular community may think that the problems we have in our community are so insurmountable, but it takes individuals like you to start a movement, get more people involved, work with your local elected officials and your police officers to clean up a neighborhood and make it a safe place for everyone. So I wanted to thank you. And I also wanted to thank you for inspiring one of my field reps who works for me now, Eric Martel, who's your godson. And he has mentioned to me that you were his inspiration in getting involved in the community, wanting to make a difference and wanting to get involved with serving the public. So thank you so much. You not only inspired your neighbors, but you're inspiring your relatives and your godson in this case. Muchísimas gracias por todo lo que haces por nosotros. Gracias.
Mr.
I'd like
Reyes.
to take a moment to present a small token of our appreciation to Susana. And it says, in special recognition of your outstanding efforts and commitment over the last 2 decades, in which you were instrumental in the cleanup and beautification of Arapahoe Street and the Pico Union neighborhood. Today, Pico Union is a safer and cleaner community due to your dedication of heart and hand to the needs of friends, neighbors, and fellow members of society. And colleagues, I tell you, in the face of Susana, I see the face of my parents, people who do not speak English, folks who come from immigrant experience, who have taken on the challenge and ventured into society that is unfamiliar, but have adopted this home as their country, as a place for their future generations, and for them, I say, muchas gracias.
Thank you. Congratulations. Our next presentation will be by Council President Eric Garcetti.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and good morning, colleagues and members of the public that are here today. We have a very special day coming up tomorrow that is something that all young people and their families in Los Angeles, especially those who are high school seniors or others aspiring to go to college, should be very aware of. Each year we celebrate what has grown into the largest college scholarship fair in the country, the largest college scholarship program in the country, Free Cash for College. Now it's just Cash for College, but I always still call it Free Cash for College from our original days. Money that we have put in, that we seeded with the school district together, we are able to create something now that every LAUSD student doesn't leave cash on the table to go to college, doesn't allow the unfamiliarity of filling out financial aid forms and FAFSA forms and everything else to keep them from that dream of college, and to know that they have the greatest engine of opportunity, which is if they can get higher education after they graduate from high school. This year, with an economic downturn, it is more important than ever that young people have the opportunity to get those skills to be part of an economic recovery as well. We know this crisis. We feel it every single day. And Cash for College is a great way where people can volunteer, help out students in their own community, and get them to that next step forward. I know that last year Cash for College helped 66 students in my district fill out their financial aid forms. Of those, 5 of them received direct scholarships from Cash for College, and many, many more of them received financial aid to be able to fulfill their dream to go to college. In addition, this year we have the Gates Foundation, which is partnering with Cash for College and MDRC, which is a nationally recognized policy organization, to look at the impacts and just what progress we're making with this program. They're going to be looking at the impact the scholarships have on keeping kids in school and the impact they have on performance as well. The real brain behind Cash for College, though, is a man named David Rattray, who works at the Chamber of Commerce. And the Chamber of Commerce came to the city years ago with the idea, how can we get a better trained workforce? And they always identified that employers here have an under-trained workforce in Los Angeles. So we hire from other states, we hire from other countries, but we have young people right here in our backyard who need good jobs and companies that want to hire them. And educational success is about partnership. So Cash for College has partnered with the Chamber of Commerce, and David's here with a very special ambassador. I want to thank each of the council members who do these workshops in their own districts and at the schools. We have one at Belmont and Hollywood tomorrow. There'll be workshops a couple weeks later. LACashforcollege.org is the website you can go to. Mr. Cardenas always sponsors a workshop right here in these chambers, and it's a great, great way of getting kids to be able to go to college. So with that, I hope you'll welcome David Rattray to say a few words as well from the Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce and Cash for College. David?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Council President Eric Garcetti. Eric has been with us, as so many of you have, right from the very first year of Cash for College. We're in our 7th event this year, so thank you so much, Eric, for your unyielding support of this campaign. It's a magical opportunity for us because what will happen tomorrow morning, I want you to picture this for a second if you can. Tomorrow morning, all over the city of Los Angeles, all over the entire region, at 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock, thousands of volunteers are going to come to a school or a community-based organization somewhere in their community, and they're going to show up, and they're going to hope the coffee's turned on, and there's some donuts, and we'll have them there. And then they're going to get ready to help some kids make a dream come true that they've never met before, and they may never meet again. But that moment of assistance where they help, as Eric said, that young person get the money they need to make their college dreams come true is a magical moment and puts their life on a trajectory that's forever better. So it's a real wonderful honor for me. I mean, I'm humbled by having the opportunity to play. I'm definitely not the brains behind it, but thank you for saying that. But I certainly am a passionate, tireless champion because I just think it's so marvelous. So with that in mind, I want to thank all the council members. You've been incredibly helpful to us. You've paid for buses to go to our Cash for College convention, and you've sponsored workshops. So we have a young person here that I'd like to introduce to you, Claudia Juarez, and she went to a workshop a couple years ago, and she's now a Cash for College ambassador. So please welcome Claudia.
Hi, Claudia.
Well, good morning, everybody. First of all, I just wanted to thank everybody for supporting Cash for College mission, which is to help students like me to continue our higher education. For me, Cash for College has done like a big change in my life because without the scholarship that I received just for going to the workshops that they offer at the LA convention, I wouldn't have been able to attend to the school that I'm going to. Right now I'm going to CSU Pomona. I'm a sophomore, and I'm very glad of being part of Cash for College because they have helped me to pay my school, actually, because coming from an immigrant family with a low income, it makes a difference in our lives. You're doing great. Oh my God, I'm nervous today. But I'm really, I really want to say thank you to Cash for College for everything. I just want to make a call to everybody to help Cash for College in a mission, which is to give more funds, please. We need more scholarship from everybody because students like me, we have more students like me outside that they need more help than me, and we need more funds to keep helping this country grow. So, please, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Cardenas?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for the work that you're doing. A lot of people don't realize how tough it is to go to school these days. In the last 5 years, the state of California, the UC system and the Cal State system, it's pretty much doubled just on tuition alone. And the cost of living has gone up, and then as we speak right now, the legislature and the governor are signaling that they're probably going to be reducing the amount of Cal grants. that are going to be available to students here in California to go to university. So the point I'm making is that these young people, or anybody who wants to go to college and better their life and gain those skills and have that great opportunity, it's getting harder and harder to do that. And unfortunately, in this great country, it's a shame that the financial aspect seems to be the biggest issue as to why some people have to choose not to go to college, not to have that experience, not to be able to put themselves into that situation and become engineers and teachers and doctors and lawyers. Because whether you like it or not, you cannot hold those titles unless you attain at least a bachelor's degree or at least a master's degree, or as a doctor. Can't be called a doctor unless you get a doctor's degree. That's usually a minimum of 7 years of full-time education by our standards here in this country. So I just want to remind everybody how critical and important it is that every effort that private industry can do, every effort that the public, such as the City of Los Angeles, can do to support this kind of event, and everything in between all year long is very, very important. And then also I need to point out the fact of the matter is, with some of our high schools being as many as 4,000 and 5,000 students, the educational system does not fortify that school to say, for every 400 or 500 seniors that you have on campus, we're going to have at least one college counselor. What tends to happen, if you have a high school that has only 1,500 students, a public school, if they're lucky, and say they have 300 seniors, they have one college counselor. If you have a high school, like San Fernando High School, that has over 4,000 students, you only have one college counselor on campus at any given time. That means that individual is given the responsibility of interacting with potentially 5, 6, 7, 8, 900, 1,000 young people by themselves. So my point is, everything that we can do needs to be done to educate these young people how important it is for them to strive to continue to go to college, for them to try to find out and figure out where they can actually get the money to go to college. And it's very important for our young people to understand is to dream big. I'm very proud to say that San Fernando High School just this past year graduated the first student ever in their history, a young Latina, to get a college scholarship on a golf scholarship to Berkeley, of all places, a tremendous university, and they've actually graduated people like my colleague Jose Huizar. My point is, that young lady dreamed big, and she said, I'm going to go to college. And I said, why don't you go to college on a golf scholarship? You're a phenomenal golfer. She says, I can do that? I said, absolutely. Unfortunately, I think young people, especially young women, need to be reminded that because of Title IX, the federal law, any university that gives, say, 10 scholarships to boy golfers, they have to give 10 scholarships to girl golfers, too. And a lot of those scholarships for golf, for young ladies, go unused at universities, and it's money that's just sitting there that doesn't get used. That's another example of why these kinds of events are important, to educate our young people and remind them. Don't think because the economy is bad there isn't money out there. There is. You have to work hard for it. You have to fill out those applications, and you will be able to live your dreams and go to college. So once again, I just wanted to lay out some examples of how important it is that we support this event and that we make sure it grows every year, because the need is growing exponentially every single year. More and more young people are having to decide, I can't go to college because I can't afford it. And thank you for letting them know and making a difference with these lives. Thank you.
Mr. Huizar?
Thank you very much, and first of all, congratulations to our young ambassador. You're doing a phenomenal job, and I know it's a lot, particularly some of us with backgrounds where we historically haven't been represented at these universities. You are a trooper. You are a pioneer, so congratulations. And to the Chamber, thank you so much. I remember when I was on the school board, your efforts to really put this out to the public and get more people thinking about the available resources. We see it today in the results, and that's a great thing. And I just want to echo one thing that Mr. Cardenas brought up, and that is there are studies out there that for minorities, for students of color, one of the main reasons why they do not complete higher education is the lack of funds. They either have to step out for a while to work, or they have to work several jobs and find it very demanding to do both their courses and work. And so we're striking at one of the main reasons why students are not completing their higher ed, and we're attempting to fix that. The money's out there. We hope that our state legislature and our governor continues to fund the Cal Grant A and Bs. They made a tremendous difference on many of us who thought that college wasn't attainable to us. So thank you all, and thank you, Mr. Garcetti, for your leadership on this. I know when I was on the school board, we represented similar overlapping areas. You were stalwart on this and very vocal about making sure that more people got to know about this. So thank you all very much.
Mr. Garcetti?
Now, we wouldn't be complete without a little bit of an arm twist. So for council members Zine and Cardenas and Gruhl and Hahn and Huizar and Labange and Parks and Reyes and Weiss, we now have a new special events policy, and we had the biggest college scholarship fair in the country happens at the LA Convention Center. So under new policy, of course, those fees weren't waived, but out of some of our discretionary funds, we may be able to help close that gap and make sure that more kids are going to college. I'm going to step up and help out. It'd be great if other folks could, and together if we might be able to get more kids to go to college. When you hear somebody like our ambassador speak, Claudia said something, she is starting right now to be a software engineer. She may invent the next Facebook. She may be the next pioneer. She's an AB 540 student as well, which those of you in the assembly know. Without this program, other financial aid isn't available, and that's why it's so important for us to have a DREAM Act and to see the dreams of young people come true. But I hope that you can all join me in that and look at the handout. And again, the public can go to lacashforcollege.org, but this handout, which we'll give to you, has all the different high schools. There's got to be a high school in everybody's district here where these workshops are going to be happening tomorrow. And just lastly, I want to present this certificate to a real life-changing program to Cash for College on this day from myself and the mayor. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. I think most of us have agreed to give those dollars to help with that program.
Thank you.
So congratulations, Madam Clerk. That concludes our presentations. We now have a quorum. Please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruhl, Hahn, Huizar, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Next item, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Minutes are approved.
Commendatory
Mr. Cardenas approves. Thank you. Mr. Gruhl, Ms. Gruhl seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Parks, Mr. Huizar.
Before beginning the regular agenda, Mr. President, there's a request to continue item number 12 to next Wednesday, and that would be February 11th.
That, without objection, that is approved.
First items on the agenda are items noticed for public hearings. Items 1 through 6 are street lighting district matters, and the recommendation for council action is to open the hearing and continue the hearings and ordinances to be presented on February 27th.
So ordered.
Next item is item number 7, and that's an item for which public hearing has been held.
Number 7, there's no cards on number 7. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Matters approved.
Next items are items for which public hearings have not been held, items 8 through 15. 10 votes are required for consideration.
We have cards.
Yes, there
on
are
those.
cards on 9, 10, 13.
We'll hold those matters we have cards on.
Mr. Zine, have a problem?
Ms. Rule,
I just want to call item 10 special.
item 10 special. Any other special on those items? Without objection? Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes. And the ordinance on item number 6 goes, on item number 8 goes over for 1 week.
Very well. Next item, please.
Next item is item number 16. That's on the continuation page, and that's an item also for which public hearing has not been held, and that also has a card.
We'll hold that matter.
And that would take council back to the items called special and public comment.
Let's do public comment first. Mr. Chuck Tenen. Chuck Tenen.
You okay? A second. I can go then.
Good morning, council members. Now that we're coming up on March 2009, will the city council please tell us why the city is so deep in debt, where our money went, what did the people get for their investment, and how do you plan to fix it without digging deeper into the people's pockets and causing a deeper budget crunch and less city services and programs? Maybe we need to put $4 an hour meters at our parks and our supermarkets. Extraordinary times of uncertainty, budget crisis, housing, job losses, and ignorancy. Our city leaders need to move forward and fight for the people, like President Obama says. On another note, there's a candidate running for city attorney. To date, he's a no-show at all the community forums and debates. He made himself unavailable. If you're not important, no reason to go there. If you're not a big name or a campaign contributor. We don't need this kind of public service candidate to be in an office that's supposed to be a city servant to the people. We don't need another Jack Weiss. Voters, be careful who you vote for. We don't need another Bush-like figure that is unavailable to the people of our communities in a time of economic hardships and uncertainty. But he does have a passion for golf, but not for his audience, voters like you and me. Noel Weiss will reach out to lead the way to a better governance system in LA for the people and a check and balance on abuse or misapplied powers by the city government. He will fight for the people, and he will have a permanent city attorney at all the neighborhood city council, the council. And please support Janice Hahn's song project, Stop the Violence, We Can All Live in Peace. And please let Wendy Gruhl, as controller, sign the checks and account for where our money goes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tennant. Our next speaker is Sean Murphy. Sean?
Good morning, City Council and Mr. President. It's a rainy day. I got lucky. I made it in without it raining too hard. Listen, I'd like to apologize for my actions on Wednesday. It was inappropriate, and I'm sorry. Some of the people were waiting to speak on Van Nuys, and the Madam President skipped over it. I'd like to say I'm sorry for what happened. I was on the radio on Kevin James telling the public I'm sorry for my outrages, and when I come to council chambers, I'll be good from now on. The second thing I want to talk to you about is the storm drains are still flooded. Stu, I heard on the news last night people couldn't walk the streets of Studio City. The storm drains are clogged up. We need to get some more money for that, and every other money for the project. So whoever is the new mayor, please act on that. And I just want to say I'm sorry for my outrage on Wednesday, and explain to the people, to the Spanish-speaking people. I want one of you council members to speak through the Spanish-speaking people. Thank you.
Dale Gibson? He left. Joe Vitti.
Good morning. My name is Joe Vitti. I'm the DWP representative for the Granada Hills North Neighborhood Council. However, my comments today are my own personal views. I support solar power and the mayor's goals, but I do not support Measure B. In 2003, Mayor Villaraigosa urged the DWP to move away from coal to green power, to increase solar rebates and aim for 20% renewable energies by 2010. In September of 2005, I sent an email to Mary Nichols with recommendations to greatly expand the LA DWP solar budget. There was an overwhelming argument to oppose Measure B based simply on the way it was placed on the ballot. It violated the spirit of openness and transparency as it was rushed through in weeks without review. The City Council was initially given information that differs greatly from the reports that are now available. The Huron report, released on Monday, lacks any backup material to support their assumption. Huron employs a very sophisticated design analysis methodology to determine future cost. However, when I was working in private industry, we use a phrase, which I want to repeat here, is when you have poor data and you put it into a very fine analytical model, it's garbage in, garbage out. So it's good as the input. The cost per DC watt used for the 2012 period was from a J.P. Morgan analyst report. This wildly optimistic input number comes from a financial company that cannot predict what the Dow Jones average will be next year. UN also states the power rate increase is only 1%. However, this is comparable to some other undefined renewable power resource. When compared to replacing coal to the increase in power rates, the cost could be 3 to 4 times higher. In these tough economic times, it is irresponsible to approve funding for questionable multi-billion-dollar projects that have 50% of their work to be done in 4 or 5 years. Finally, I would recommend that PK Consulting have an opportunity to review Huron's report and provide their comments as soon as possible to the council members and the ratepayers of the City of Los Angeles.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vitti. Arnold Sachs, downtown. Arnold Sachs, downtown. Mr. Sachs, your time's running. Do we have sound? We have picture but no sound. Hold on, Mr. Sachs. We'll restart your clock in a moment. We have sound?
It's karaoke day at
All right, hold on a second.
downtown LA.
Hold on a second. We'll start the clock over.
Thank you.
There you go. Go ahead, Mr.
Thank you.
Sachs.
Arnold Sachs from downtown LA. I'd also like to discuss a little bit about the Measure B item. Remember, when I spoke on Wednesday regarding DWP officials disclosing that up to 1/3 of the panels proposed in Measure B could be installed on 4,000 acres of airport property in Palmdale. The magic words here are could be. So already, before the item has even been passed, you're up in the air about 1/3 of what's going to happen. Also, I'd like to point out, if you need any further information regarding 1B, just remember what happened when the trash fees were raised. And this is coming from, I'm going to quote here, more or less, from Laura scathing report, Chick, that she said wording in the trash fee measure never actually guaranteed that the extra tax money would be spent exclusively to hire more officers. Instead, over $200 million was spent on salaries. And finally, I'd like to talk a little bit about an article that appeared in the newspaper on last Saturday, and that was regarding a letter from Ally's run for LA's top 3 elected officials. And I'm going to quote here one of the officials, Mr. Weiss. "We are all supposed to be pulling on the same oar in the same direction for the city," he said. Unfortunately, that only tells half the story. Most people would consider having your oars in the water more important than just pulling on an oar. Because if you're just pulling on an oar, you might as well just yank it. But if you don't have your oars in the water, then there's nothing going to be accomplished or nothing going to be done. And we have certainly seen our full share of politicians who don't have their oars in the water.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. We'll stay downtown. Phil, Jenny John, our next speaker, downtown, and that'll conclude our downtown guests.
Okay, so good morning, council members out there in Van Nuys. My name is Phil Jennerjohn. I'm currently running for mayor of Los Angeles, and I had a few things to talk about today. First is I did a radio interview on KPCC with host Pat Morrison. She was a wonderful lady, very pleasant host, and she asked me a question. She asked me, was there anything about current Mayor Villaraigosa that I liked? And I said instantly, I said, yes, I really like his strong support for Israel. In 2007, I actually took a spiritual pilgrimage to Israel. I'm a Catholic, and I went to see the historical biblical sites. And I met many Israelis, and I experienced Israel up close and in person. And Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, and we have to defend them. They are defenders of the Judeo-Christian heritage and the Judeo-Christian principles. Now, a lot of critics will say this is not an LA issue and we shouldn't be talking about it, but the fact is the press asked the mayor and he answered the question. If you want to see more of that interview, you can listen to it at the KPCC website. Other thing I want to talk about is there's some things going on the campaign trail that I don't like. Currently, candidate Walter Moore and his mouthpiece, radio show host Kevin James, are going out and they are repeatedly attacking the mayor. They're repeating this personal attack and repeating that the mayor failed the bar exam 4 times. And I have to say that this is an irrelevant criticism. I don't like it. I don't like this type of campaigning, and I don't like this type of politics. It is only meant for one reason, to embarrass and insult and humiliate the mayor. When you make comments like this, I think it makes them look bad. In my opinion, you never make yourself a bigger man by trying to make someone else look small. I reject this type of campaigning. I reject this type of politics, and I urge other candidates for mayor to follow my lead. There are plenty of legitimate reasons to criticize this mayor, his liberal politics, his socialist, business-killing policies, but personal comments are unnecessary. I did make a few comments about the mayor in the past, about a social act, but this was only to show that people had reason not to trust him. I'm now an ambassador for my party. I have the official endorsement of the Los Angeles County Republican Party, and I won't do anything to harm them. Just one real small quote at the end. UCLA Political Science Department has arranged a debate Wednesday the 25th at Haynes Hall. Antonio Villaraigosa won't be there, but other candidates will. Thank you.
We'll be back, here we are back in the Valley. Christine Rowe, our next speaker.
I am Chris Rowe. I am here to speak about no on Measure B. The West Hills Neighborhood Council voted no on Measure B unanimously this past Wednesday night. Many of you have seen me at many events. What you don't know is that I am primarily a researcher. I have been researching Measure B and solar energy for this past month. I want to explain an experience with my own NC as an example of why you should not have put this on the ballot. In January, the West Hills Neighborhood Council was asked to vote on an agenda item. This was on whether to vote to support the cleanup of the Santa Susana Field Lab to SB 990 standards. Well, a respected colleague had introduced this vote. I had to stand before my board and ask for a show of hands. How many have read SB 990? Only 2 board members raised their hands. I said, therefore, how can our neighborhood council then vote on this agenda item? So what I am saying to you is this. How many of you have read the full PA report and other documents when you voted to put Measure B on the ballot? Why did you bypass the NC system and the DWP-MOU committee before bringing Measure B to a vote? I have my absentee ballot. I am extremely disappointed that there are no real public forums on Measure B. For this reason, I am inviting you to attend a balanced presentation on Measure B on February 18th at 7 p.m. at Shomri Torah in West Hills. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Candido Morez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Council members, I want to thank everyone that is here today. Council members, especially Ms. Hahn, you came all the way from San Pedro, and Mr. Parks and others who, it's rainy out there and it was very difficult to get here today. First of all, I just want to thank the officers that were here today. We had the May Day issue the other day, and a lot of people still would like to blame the police department, but for me, the police department is always trying to do what they can to improve the quality of life in our neighborhoods. We are losing a captain here in Van Nuys by the name of Captain Miller, who's done an outstanding job. I've had the honor and privilege to work with the Van Nuys Police Department for over 25 years, and they really go out of their way to do what's best for the community. I would just hope that we really take a look at issues and each situation as they arise, because, again, the police department is really trying to do their best, and we've come a long way. We have a police chief who admitted there were faults and took the blame, and let's get this past us and let's move forward. And, again, I want to thank those council members who traveled so far to be here with us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Zuma Dog. After that will be Kenny Ortega. Good morning, Mr. Dog.
Yes, good morning. It's Zuma Dog, candidate for mayor, fighter of fraud, waste, and abuse, otherwise known as corruption in the city of Los Angeles. I thank you so much for tuning in today. By the way, next Friday, a week from now, I'll be on Good Day, L.A. the dream segment of a lifetime where I stroll into the studio with Jillian Barberie and that other guy. Also, Tuesday, tune in to KPCC, The Pat Morrison Show. I'll be on there. Yes! Zuma Dog coming to NPR. Who said I shouldn't run for mayor? Also, look for me in the LA Times. Very important. They asked me 6 questions, hard-hitting questions, and as candidate for mayor, you certainly hate to answer real questions of real issues. They asked me, first of all, let me just give a little preview. Oh, by the way, of course, no on Measure B. Boy, oh boy, I've never heard so much bad press about something. Laura Chick, by the way, city controller, her report of Measure B says it stinks. That's right. So first of all, what makes Zuma Dog, the question here from the LA Times, what distinguishes you from the other candidates in the race? First of all, I consider my extensive training of Dr. W. Edwards Deming's 14-point management philosophy the single most important qualification that distinguishes me. My interpretation of Deming's 14 points has been praised by Deming and published internationally in Quality Digest. So the fact that I have an actual 14-point plan, a method in which to operate the mayor's office, automatically distinguishes me as a candidate, as opposed to just pointing out problems with no method to achieve the goal of improvement. Here's why Dr. Deming, okay, and by the way, time is running short. I spoke too much about Good Day LA that'll be on there next Friday. The reason the city of Los Angeles, until they embrace the 14 points of Dr. Deming that Zuma Dog will implement on day 1 as mayor, you will continue to trip all over yourselves. Things like tree trimmings. You have to make 3 trips to trim the tree. You install left-hand auto sensors all over the city. They don't work. You're going to have to rip them up again.
Thank you.
To reduce the waste.
Thank you. Kenny Ortega is our next speaker. After that is Joanne Ivanek Garb. A very good morning, Mr. Ortega.
Good morning. Tough act to follow. Good morning, Mr. President, council members. The reason I'm speaking this morning is because I have an idea that I'd like to propose to you. It has to do with the street vendors in all the city of LA. Basically, I think a lot of the problem is that when people want them stopped, they have to have several agencies. So my suggestion is pretty simple. It's not really any cost. It's basically to have existing officers trained or certified by the health department, so you won't have to have both agencies there at the same time. So when that way the problem could be addressed by just LAPD, and basically both agencies, but by one officer could carry both tasks. Also, I welcome any comments on this. If you can give me a brief comment or a rebuttal of any kind.
We can't respond too long under the Brown Act, but I think it's a great idea, and we'd be happy to follow up with you and see if we can connect the county and the city together.
Okay. Also, I'd like to leave my email is KennyOrtega@roadrunner.com, and I welcome all comments from the public and from the council or anyone.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. We appreciate you taking the time to come down today. Joanne Ivanek Garb is next, and then Daniel Wiseman.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm glad to see everybody here on such a rainy day. Just a brief notice that we were having a town hall meeting on March 14th, as I had originally given you information. It was to be on the Santa Susana Field Lab, and it has been changed because we were shut down by some paid activists. So it's now going to be on making your city work for you, and we're going to have various agencies there to speak on how their agencies work and how we can get better use of the agencies. This will be on March 14th at 9 a.m. at Canoga Park High School. And I'm glad to see that the females are wearing red today and celebrating our women's hearts. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your comments. Daniel Wiseman is next. After that is Rick Nightingale. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Nice to see you. Nice to see all of you and your shining faces and your bright eyes paying attention. I can always trust Tom. He's the right one. All right. Anyway, I hope you have this 2-page sheet in front of you that I've sent to you. It regards the documents of the Department of Water and Power and the LA Solar Plan. Much has been spoken of at this lectern about Measure B. I think it's no secret that I'm not in favor of Measure B because it doesn't have good process nor good substance. The original documents, which came out back in October and November, were rather confusing, and they were not made available to the neighborhood councils. We didn't know about it until well into December. One of the documents that was actually produced by the PA Consultant Company and available to you on November 4th was not available to us until December 19th, when it became part of the document that the city attorney brought out. The actual documents that we do know are absent in real good cost data. We don't know how much this is going to cost. The Huron report, which just came out the first of this week, says $1.5 million. The PA report, which came out in November 4th, as I've mentioned, said $3.6 million. Now, knowing the way governments work, and we people who are not in government have seen this happen time after time, I'm going to err on the side of the larger number and expect that's what's most likely. I've done some math in front of you before. I'm going to do it again. If it's $1.5 million, that's $1,000 for every one of the 1.5 million residences in Los Angeles. The rest of the problems I don't have time to speak of here. I see the time is out.
Thank you, Mr. Weisman.
But it's on this document. It'll be...
Thank you for giving that to us. Our next speaker is Rick Nightingale.
Yeah, good morning, Rick Nightingale.
Good morning.
I can't believe one of your councilmen did it again, though. I can't believe Alicant turned around and told the newspapers that if you turn around and don't, excuse me, give loans from a bank, that he's going to turn around and persuade you people to turn around and take the money out of the bank. Isn't that called fraud? I think, isn't that called collusion and so forth? I mean, that's just flat out called blackmail. That's against the law, I thought. I just don't understand it. I mean, this is how the banks got into trouble in the first place, wasn't it? Giving loans before they can turn around, people can qualify. But then let's go to the mail day. I see they got $13 million. Well, I guess got a lot of people going to be able to buy homes now, aren't they? Because you turn around, I don't know if you give a permit for this May Day or not, but you knew it was going to happen sooner or later. It was just a matter of time. I still say, like I said, I was in the Guard, I took riot training, and I said they did it right. I was in two riots. I was in the Watts, and I went up to Santa Barbara. And I'm telling you right now, when it comes to a situation where it comes into the police to force people out and tells you to move, you move. That's what the law is for. And then they get paid for it. I just don't understand this. But they got the money now. I wonder if you learn by mistakes, though. Most people do. That you don't let this happen again. But I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I just don't understand it. Another thing is that I feel sorry for the homeless on the street. But another article I just read, that you turn around and they out of a $350 million thing, they took 50 people, the worst people, and turned around and got them cleaned and so forth. That was about $17,000 a person. All right? You can sure go a lot of rehab for that, to put them into rehab, not at Malibu, we'll say. But I believe in taking care of them, but you got to do it in a manly manner with money. Thank you.
Mr. Cardenas, the point of clarification on that?
Mr. President, a point of personal privilege on behalf of one of my colleagues. Once again, we all appreciate the public coming and speaking their mind and interpreting things and sometimes misinterpreting things and conveying that to their colleagues via this broadcast. But I think it's important for people to understand that when this gentleman referenced Councilmember Alarcon, I don't want to get into details because it's not agendized, but the fact of the matter is he misconstrued what that motion is about. On behalf of Alarcon, the City of Los Angeles deposits literally hundreds of millions of dollars, and when you look at the retirement funds, it's billions of dollars in banks, responsible banks all over the place. And the fact of the matter is his motion has to do with looking into those banks, and if they're not responsibly serving the community of Los Angeles very well, then maybe we should reconsider and having those deposits in banks that are actually acting responsibly and actually doing good banking in and around the city of Los Angeles to help out the economy.
Appreciate that clarification. Mr. Labange? I'm sorry, we've closed, but maybe you can speak privately on that, but we've closed the public comment on this, and we try to keep it as steady for everybody as possible, but thank you, Mr. Nightingale. Mr. Nightingale, if we can ask you to please not shout. Thank you very much. Mr. Labange had pressed his button. Was there something you wanted to? No. So, okay. We had a request to reconsider 45. If we can please open the roll.
Mr. President, that's 45 from Wednesday.
From Wednesday, excuse
and the
me.
council file number is 082793.
Okay, let's go ahead and open the roll on reconsideration, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is back before us as well. We can take the items called special, please. And before that, Mr. City Attorney, yep.
And Mr. President, the city attorney has a recommendation on that.
Okay, on
report.
that item 45 from Wednesday. Mr. City Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. President. The only reason to reconsider this is to correct an agenda description problem from Wednesday, and two of the cases were inadequately described on item number 45. So if I could just read into the record.
Sure.
One of the cases, Jose Ponce versus City of Los Angeles, case number CV082710AHM, and then FMOX. And then the other case is Urfelina Reyes versus City of Los Angeles, and that case number is CV08-02225AHM and FMOX.
Thank you.
And Mr. President, if the council could adopt the substitute motion with those two cases listed on it and receive and file the one that was adopted on Wednesday.
Okay. Let's go ahead without objection. Incorporate those changes. I will move them. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
We'll send that forth with no objection. Our next item, please.
Next item, Mr. President, is item number 9, and that was called special for cards.
Okay. Mr. Zuma-Dog on number 9.
Yes, thank you. Item number 9, it is REAP, Rent Escrow Account Program. First of all, my name's Zuma-Dog, candidate for mayor. And as candidate for mayor, it's come to my attention that the city is operating what I believe to be corrupt racket regarding the REAP Rent Escrow Account Program. There's a federal lawsuit that is currently being filed, and I'm concerned as someone who may inherit the city's problems as mayor that there will be an avalanche of several hundred multi-million-dollar lawsuits over the way the city is operating its REAP program, and I am here today to put it on the record, as I have been. Now, something else that must be clarified. Last Friday, when I was speaking about REAP, I was saying the problem is that the city will retaliate and make the property owners that are renting to the low-income people make all these aesthetic improvements. When they can't comply, well, then they basically are having to be forced to sell the properties, and then the low-income renters get kicked out. Eric Garcetti, on the record, clarified afterwards and said, gee, if you're protected under these rent control agreements, renters cannot be kicked out even if the property changes hands. He said that on the record. I am here to say that I don't know if you want to call it a lie, but I'm saying it's not true. I've been contacted by renters that are being kicked out. The city has other tricks and loopholes. Let's say you're in rent escrow as a single female and you have a baby. Well, then they say, gee, you're not allowed to have a baby, and they kick the lady out into the streets. You don't qualify for rent escrow. You don't qualify for the rent control anymore. These are the shady tricks, and it's all a ploy to try to shake out the low-income renters under rent control. And maybe you don't like rent control, maybe you like free market, except the city has ignored affordable housing, so this is the way the city's dealing with it. And so through these retaliatory crackdowns, the property owners that are owning the buildings are forced to give them up to developers. More waves of homelessness. You're hurting renters and business. That's why it's Zuma-Dog for mayor, and you better watch those federal lawsuits and don't lie on the cameras.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dog, for your comments and insight. We'll please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. Our next item, please.
Next item is item number 10, and that was called special by Councilmember Gruhl. There are also cards, and an amending motion has been distributed
Just
to
before
council.
that, I'd like to recognize Ms. Hahn for a quick announcement. Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, colleagues. I just wanted to take this opportunity to welcome back my Chief of Staff, Courtney, and her beautiful 5-week-old daughter, Lily Marie. And I just wanted to welcome her back and give her this gorgeous little, congratulations, Lily Marie Torres. We're so happy for you. We miss you. We want you to come back, but this is a great moment, and we just wanted to show off your daughter to all of your friends here at City Council.
Thank you. Congratulations. Beautiful newborn. Ms. Gruhl, would you like to take the cards first on item 10, or would you like to?
Yes, if I could call colleagues to have our public comment. We have several of my constituents here who have been active in this issue.
Okay, our first card is in downtown. It's Arnold Sachs, and then we have back here Fritz Bronner, back here. Mr. Sachs?
Yes, good morning again, Arnold Sachs. I certainly disagree with the fact that you consistently always take the public comments first before you offer up your reports on these items. It's unfair because then we don't know what's in the report and we don't have a chance to comment on that. Nevertheless, that being said, I'm also interested to know if this Equine Advisory Committee will also consider donkeys and jackasses as part of their committee work, because we certainly have a few donkeys and a lot of jackasses around City Hall. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sachs. Our next speaker is Fritz Bronner, and after that is Mary Benson. Good morning.
Good morning, Good morning, Council. My name is Fritz Bronner, and it's delighted to see you all this morning. I'm here to speak for the Foothill Trails District Neighborhood Council. I'm a board member for, and we're thrilled that this Equestrian Task Force committee is being put forward to a vote, and we look forward to the affirmation of it, because it's a very, very important task force that will represent not only horse owners, mules and donkeys and everything else as far as the equestrian category, but it affects a lot of youth groups, it affects a lot of businesses, it affects a lot of nonprofits as well. And to be able to have this type of committee all under one house to discuss and implement, to preserve, to protect, to enhance the equestrian culture in the city of Los Angeles into the 21st century, which has such a rich legacy as well and heritage. And there's so many businesses directly and indirectly that are affected and that are equestrian businesses, from real estate to trucks to boarding facilities to trainers to vets to breeders to farriers. I mean, there's so many businesses. We're a $900 million industry in the city of Los Angeles. And one of the other industries, not to neglect, is that would be would appreciate this, is the racing industry, the Sport of Kings. And so we look forward to your support of this, and we look forward to working closely together on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your work on this. And Mary Benson is our next speaker. After that is Terry Kaiser.
Good morning, council members. My name is Mary Benson, and I am the chair of the Los Angeles Trails Project that promotes Rim of the Valley trails around the valley. All of you council members may not be aware of the horse owners that live in your districts and the benefits that a horse council or a horse committee could provide to your districts for horses in parades, for at-risk horse programs during the summer. Herb Wesson and Camp Wesson came to our area and gave an opportunity for the first time for inner-city at-risk kids to have a horseback ride. And these types of programs are other things that this committee could help organize and promote throughout the council district. The other important issue is trails. 2008 was the 40th anniversary of the city's plan for hiking and equestrian trails in the city of Los Angeles that affects 9 of the 15 council districts. I'm here to help also promote Rim of the Valley Trail and develop a resource that everyone in the city of Los Angeles can either hike or have the opportunity to ride a horse. These are outstanding diversions. There's much evidence that gangs and at-risk kids benefit tremendously from association with a large animal. It shows them that negotiation is the way, not power play. And I want to thank Councilmember Gruhl and everyone that has been involved, and I urge each of the council members to consider appointing a representative to this committee, not just for what the equestrian community can get, but things that the equestrian community is ready and able to give. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Terry Kaiser is our next speaker. After that is Lynn Brown. Welcome, Mr. Kaiser.
Thank you very much for having us here today. I'm speaking in favor of the advisory committee. At this point in time, there is no focal point either for the equestrian organizations or for the city to go to when they have any issues they want to discuss. This advisory committee will provide that. It's something that's not only real important, but it is mandatory that we have. Would appreciate your help by voting yes on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Lynn Brown is our penultimate speaker, and then we have Ron Herman.
Good morning,
Morning.
council members. My name is Lynn Brown. I am the National Trail Coordinator for Equestrian Trails Incorporated, which is a 65-year-old organization with over 4,000 members in Los Angeles. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I want to thank especially Wendy Gruhl for her work on this and Councilman LaBonge. We really appreciate this opportunity to create this equestrian task force, or equine advisory committee. According to the health figures in Los Angeles, there's over 50,000 horses in LA, and that isn't counting the backyard horses and the race horses. And this equine committee fulfills a long-felt need to address equestrian issues in this community, issues of land use, issues of loss of trail access, stabling, and water quality issues, just to name a few. Equestrians and horsekeeping is a very special and unique feature in the city of Los Angeles. I don't know of any other major city in the United States that has a horsekeeping community right in the middle of it. It's a vital and thriving community with a considerable local contribution, as Fritz just mentioned, to the gross national product, and a statewide contribution of over $6 billion. We urge the passage of this motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ryan Herman is our last speaker. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. This is truly an exciting day for us. Thanks, Wendy, very much for going to bat for us. To Councilman LaBonge, thank you for getting it out of committee for us. It means a lot. We've been given to understand that you're inclined to vote in favor of this, but in order to ensure that you do, I want to just tell you by way of a short story of the gulf that has historically existed between the horse community and City Hall by way of a subdivision that I filed some years ago. And there were 11 pages of requirements from engineering for a horse trail that was to go along Wentworth Street, and I eventually applied for an appeal through Building and Safety, and a man who's now retired by the name of Mr. Fisher got together with me. We went back and forth and determined that a decomposed granite trail that was 90% compacted would probably meet ADA requirements and would certainly be adequate for horses. But the city still would not accept this. So prior to Councilwoman Gruhl, when Councilman Wax was in office, his chief deputy, Arlene DeSantis, arranged for a wheelchair. And we called the press, we had several inspectors on the spot, and we actually put Deputy Arlene DeSantis in a wheelchair, and she wheeled herself down the horse trail just to prove that we could meet ADA requirements. Now, this seems like a little nonsense, but it's not nonsense when you consider that this subdivision closed about 5 or 6 years ago, and there are still problems with every single trail that goes in, trying to explain what needs to be done, what we hope to achieve, etc. And the same thing applies to many of the ordinances and laws in connection with building and safety that have lots of contradictions and anomalies, and this committee will put us all in a position, perhaps for the first time, to become partners and actually support one another so that the equestrian community and its history will flourish and help the city, and we hope to receive some help from you too, and we thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much as well. Our first speaker will come back to Ms. Gruhl, and after that's Mr. LaBonge. Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garcetti, and to all my colleagues. And, you know, interestingly enough, when we were setting up this equine task force and all of the specifics, and we were trying about who would appoint and different things, we said, well, most, you know, just those council members that have equestrians and, you know, or have horses in their district. And believe it or not, 14 of the 15 council districts have horses in them. And so it means it's not just, although we have been very active in my community and neighborhood in trying to preserve that equestrian lifestyle and to balance many of the battles, and Mr. Reyes has seen them in his committee in Plum, in preserving horsekeeping rights and really, addressing. And you remember, I think it was only a few months, maybe 6 months after I got elected, that we had actually a planning and land use meeting out there with 150 people, with many of them coming with the horse trailers and talking about some of the differences and the motions that we did. And I think, as Terry mentioned, the issue is that everyone wants to try to be helpful, but it gets pulled in different directions, and there's no one focal point. And that's why this equine task force is so important, and to be able to bring together the resources and expertise to focus on some of these issues, as issues such as zoning to preserve horsekeeping properties, trail standards, as mentioned by Mary Benson, and private trails, and overall trail map, and emergency response planning for large animal rescue, which we just saw how in some ways it was effective in some areas, and others how many horses were up in those areas when the fires hit in our northeast valley. And so we do have, you'll see an amending motion on 10A, and I really hope that we will send a clear message that we value the equestrian part of our community and the history of Los Angeles. And it really, I've met so many wonderful people who, we had a chip-a-thon just a few weeks ago at Gibson Ranch, which we did get a letter from Dale Gibson supporting this as well, with the animal services. So it's a true community, and this will help us ensure that their priorities and what they're doing are really part of the city system in setting up this equine task force. So thank you all for being here, and I know we have Rec and Parks here as well, and we're going to want results. So for all of the departments that are listening, as well as those members we appoint, this is going to be a group of activists who are going to come back to us and say what we can do better. So thank you to all my colleagues for your support. Thank you, Mr. LaBonge, for getting it out of your committee as well.
Thank you very much. Mr. LaBonge.
It bolted from committee like a great horse would, but I would just want to thank everybody, especially to be the voices. Voices are so important. We're diverse in our people, we're diverse in our lifestyles, and those in the equestrian lifestyles are so important. And the mentoring that could take place for those who have challenges, the programs of special needs children, also those who may never know what a horse is. You mentioned, one of you mentioned that, particularly in your speech, is so important. So I thank you. I stand with you, Wendy Gruhl. As long as you're not standing behind a horse, I'm all with you all the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
For safety reasons. I got my boots on today. I'm okay. I'm just saying safety reasons. Never stand behind a horse.
Thank you. So you're going to vote A and not nay on this, right? Okay. Mr. Reyes.
We're reaching new heights here, folks. I just want to say thank you so much for the generous offer, Ms. Benson, and the folks who are involved in this task force. And I recall, as Chair of Plum, the generosity, the invitation that we got from those who are involved in the lifestyle of living with horses, and actually offering the ability to experience it. It does mean a lot to many, many children in the city. And it does reflect that we are one city, and for that I thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That is our last one. Let me also thank Ms. Gruhl for taking leadership on this, and grew up riding in the city, and I have the most densely populated district, I think, in the city, and yet we have horses in Atwater Village, and there's 2 horses left in Echo Park, about 4 blocks from my house. It's a wonderful legacy, and you see them every morning in Elysian Park being ridden. So this will be a great move forward. So with that, let's make it official and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
The ayes have it. Forthwith, without objection. Next item called special, please.
Next item is item 13, and that was called special for cards.
Mr. Zuma-Dog on item number 13, please.
Yes, thank you. It's mayoral candidate Zuma-Dog, and I think I might have some good news to report back to the community regarding the special event fee waivers. As you know, it's been Zuma-Dog's pet peeve issue over the past 3 years, the waste of money out of the general fund at a time when we're talking about firings and layoffs and cutting services and closing parks and libraries earlier and all these things, and then you raise fees, create new taxes, and are fleecing the public, quadrupling parking meter rates, well, then the city's been giving out things like $400,000 for an Academy Awards party, when I needed to remind council on the record that the special event fee waiver that we are talking about is supposed to be for open to the public events of community benefit. So obviously, Zuma Dog ain't walking into no Academy Award party, so that means it ain't open to the public. And so I'm here to say, after being quoted in LA Times and being in Fox 11 News and having the whole city talk about this now, I'm very happy to say I've only seen 3 special event fee waivers on the agenda today, and I also only saw 3 at the last meeting. That is a substantial reduction. I know the city has had meetings about this. The mayor has called for a moratorium and a reduction on the special event fee waiver. So I hope that this is a trend, because as somebody who hopes to be mayor, and if you look at the polls and what's happening out there, then yes, you could very well be looking at the next mayor of Los Angeles. Who knows what could happen? So I'm very glad to say, as somebody who might be inheriting this budget crisis, it appears as though the special event fee waivers are finally being dealt with in a prudent, fiscally responsible manner that is reflective of the economic crisis and all that the city council and the mayor is asking of constituents in the form of added fees and taxes. So finally, I'm not allowed to ask questions. However, at the end of this public comment, if it is true that the city has made an attempt and that we will be looking at a reduction, if that is true and not just a fluke, please raise your hand, President.
You can always ask questions. We are only allowed short replies. But my apologies that you're not allowed to get into Oscars. If it was up to me, I'd certainly nominate you for Best Performance. Yes! All right. So with that, we will close the... There has been, yes, sir. Please open the roll on the special events, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
All right, that is approved. Next item called special, please.
Next item is item 16, and that was called special for cards.
Mr. Arnold Sachs is the next speaker.
Morning again, Arnold Sachs. Very quickly, this is a 7-story parking structure that's being built, and I'm wondering, is there any commitment? We hear a lot of discussion from the council, and we hear a lot of discussion from the mayor and everybody in DWP with the solar panels. Is there any commitment from these people who want to build this structure for any kind of solar initiative, solar energy panels to be put on the parking structure? It's Greening LA. Is that going to be part, I know that you mentioned that you want to make it part of public construction items, but is it going to ever become a requirement for private enterprises? Or, in this case, I believe this is for a church, nonprofit private enterprises, that they should have to incorporate greening and the available information, available products into the construction of their items, and if that will come before the Planning and Land Use Management Committee to be considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. That will close our public comment on this item. If no members wish to be heard, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. I'd like to recognize Mr. Zine for introduction.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have with us a retired member from the Planning Department, Bob Genovese, who's here with his lovely wife. Bob spent many, many years with the City of Los Angeles, and he misses the City of Los Angeles. Bob was one of the victims in the first Metro train crash, which caused his retirement, and here he is with us today, feeling well. And Bob, welcome to the Van Nuys City Hall. Many people miss you, and it's good to see you that your wife is still taking care of you after all these years. But we welcome you to the Van Nuys City Hall. We miss you, and it's good to see you that you're recovering, still recovering from that tragedy. So God bless you and your wife and your family, and thank you for being here. And from my colleagues, look at Wendy, is so smiling. We've all had a chance to say hello to you. We wanted to officially introduce you to Los Angeles to let people know you're still doing well. So, Bob, thank you very, very much.
Mr. LaBonge?
Thank you, Mr. Zine. And, Bob, people still ask about you at City Hall. Miss you, love you. God bless your wife and the strength that you have. All those poor victims of that terrible tragedy. And I know the morning, Mr. Garcetti and were there, and you're recovering stronger, and you got the greatest smile in town. All right, there it is right there. Thank you, Bob Genovese. We love you, but people still ask. I run into them on the 5th floor and the 6th floor, and especially those disappointed developers who leave there.
Mr. Reyes?
I just want to say that Bob Genovese was and still is a mentor for many planners in the planning department. As our zoning administrator, our head of code studies, many real roles that spoke to how we look at the benefit for our city. And if you left the room and everyone was unhappy, we know that Bob J. did a good job. So thank you so much, Bob, for all your hard work and for everything you've done for the city.
Thank you. Ms. Gruhl?
Sorry, I just wanted to add, Bob J., as everyone knows him, is, legendary in the city of Los Angeles. And he is still active. I saw him this week at a Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council meeting, he and his wife, and what a great partnership they have had. Bob J. is one of the people who could get things done in the planning department, and we sorely miss him, but he is a great friend. He was more than just a city employee to all of us. He taught me everything I know about planning, and when I didn't know the answer to something, I called Bob J., and he'd call me sometimes at 8 o'clock at night or early in the morning to respond. It was more than just a career. It was part of his life. So just want you to know we love you, and it's great to see you around.
Thank you. Mr. Cardenas?
Thank you. I just wanted to point out that Bob represents the best in government. When Bob Genovese was on the case, when he was on the job, when he was doing what he did at a very, very high level, and he earned that responsibility, he handled it very well. He handled it to the epitome of what I think parents are proud of when they see someone that they raise and say, you know what, you're a good person, you know how to balance things, and you know how to do things right. And what I'm getting at is people complain about government all the time about how we're a bureaucracy and how sometimes decisions can't be made or we can't move forward. Bob Genovese was the opposite of that. When Bob was on the case, he had the guts and took the responsibility to make decisions. Sometimes even the elected officials weren't happy with it. Sometimes the public wasn't happy with it. But I respect the fact that Bob was a man who made decisions and moved forward. You earned my respect, Bob, and we miss you very, very much. It's wonderful to see you. And also, I just wanted to tell the public, not very many people saw you, not very many people understood what you stood for and what you did, but you were the epitome of the opposite of what people complain about bureaucracy. You're a doer, Bob. God bless you, and thank you, and it's good to see you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for blessing us with your presence, Bob. With that, let's go next order of business, please.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those are posted and referred.
The excuses on the desk. Councilmember Hahn requests to be excused March 10th and 11th for city business. A motion is required.
All right, that takes us down to how many?
11.
Okay, I will move that. Ms. Gruhl seconds. Without objection, Ms. Hahn is excused.
Councilmember Cardenas requests to be excused Wednesday, April 15th, Friday, May 8th, Wednesday, May 27th, and Friday, May 29th. Those are all for city business, and they all meet council policy.
Okay, those excuses are granted.
Councilmember Perry requests to be excused March 20th to leave at 12:15 for city business that meets council policy.
Okay, she's excused.
Councilmember Reyes requests to be excused March 10th and 11th for city business. A motion is required, and that leaves 10.
Leaves 10, okay. We will check on that. Let's wait on that, and we'll see what the attendance looks like to make sure that happens. Okay.
And that clears the desk.
Okay. Any announcements, colleagues? Ms. Gruhl.
Adjournment.
Colleagues, I want to announce that today is National Wear Red Day. Ms. Hahn and I are wearing red, and I think Mr. Weiss had a red tie on. It's a chance to raise awareness and arm ourselves with the knowledge about this being American Heart Association Go Red, and we have done this each year, and as you may know, it is the #1 killer of women, and it can be prevented. In order to raise awareness in the city of Los Angeles next Friday, February 13th, from 9 to 1, we'll be doing an official presentation during council, and the American Heart Association will be holding blood pressure and body mass screenings in the rotunda at City Hall. So we hope everyone will do that. Last night when I was downtown amidst a lot of traffic, when people in LA don't know how to drive during the rain, but one of the buildings, they have put red at the top, red lights, and we really try to encourage people to to highlight this month, and as someone whose mother passed away from a heart attack, I know how important it is for us to educate ourselves and do everything we can to address that heart disease. So we're Red today nationally, and next Friday will be our day in Los Angeles.
Thank you. Ms. Hahn.
I just also wanted to stand up wearing my red and saying again how important it is for women to pay attention to this. And there was a recent email that was going around to different women to specifically talk about how women's symptoms for heart attacks can be completely different than the common symptoms that men experience during a heart attack. So it's really important that women are educated, and that we find out that when you're having certain symptoms that you may not have thought were related to having a heart attack, that they are very different for women, and we should pay attention to that, get educated about that, and certainly look it up and get educated, because again, for men and women, the first few symptoms are critical to call for help. Call 911. We've got great paramedics all over the county of Los Angeles, certainly in the city of Los Angeles. The first hour is critical for both men and women when you're experiencing symptoms. But the key is, and this is really something that I've just learned, the symptoms can be completely different. And women need to get educated about what symptoms those are that might be signifying a heart attack.
Thank you. Mr. Cardenas, and then Mr. Parks, and then Mr. Zine.
I just want to remind the public that tomorrow, Saturday, February 7th, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., as the council president honored the Cash for College director. Remember, kids, families, we're talking about millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars that can and will go to our Angelino young people when they want to go to college, and they're going to be everywhere at Alhambra High School, in my district at Arleta High School, at Canoga Park High School, Hollywood High School. There's all kinds of places they're going to be from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Whatever time you can get there at that time, it's going to be time well spent, where they're going to show you how you and your families, your children, can get millions and millions of dollars for free, scholarships, grants to go to college. This is free money, people. Also, I want to make a correction to the flyer. Byrd Middle School has moved. The new Byrd Middle School is at 8501 Arleta Avenue. That's one of the sites, Byrd Middle School, and they inadvertently put an address on Laurel Canyon, and it's 8501 Arleta Avenue. Byrd Middle School is one of the sites. 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., as the council president said earlier today, he announced it Saturday, February 7th, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., free service, free information to help you fill out applications and learn about free money for college. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Parks?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to advise the community that our L.A. City Planning Department is holding two very important meetings regarding transit-oriented development around the Expo line, and they're concentrating initially at the Expo Park, Vermont and Western stations. They'll be holding a meeting Saturday, February the 7th, 10 a.m. to 2 at Expo Center, Amundsen Senior Citizen Center at 3990 South Menlo. And then they will review the 23rd and Jefferson Station on Saturday, February 14th, 10 to 2 at LA Trade Tech. Also, just for the public awareness, because of the construction of the Expo line, starting February through April, there'll be major detours at Exposition and Vermont in the evenings and on weekends, and you can get all additional information on the webpage, www.exporail.com.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes, and then Mr. Zine.
I just wanted to emphasize what Councilman Cardenas and Councilman Garcetti said for Cash for College. I want to identify the schools in the Northeast. Franklin High School, I was joined by Councilman Garcetti and our mayor in announcing Cash for College. Eagle Rock High School, as well as Wilson High School. So in the Northeast, Los Angeles area, this is where you can come and get some, if they say Cash for College, bring your parents' federal income tax returns from 2008, and your parents' W-2 forms, paycheck stubs, or any records of earned income, and current bank statements and records of any kinds of stocks, bonds, or other investments. So if you bring that with you, you can be profiled and qualified for resources to get to college.
Thank you. Mr. Zahn?
I just want to add to what my two colleagues have mentioned, that there is a website. Tony, did you mention that? There is a website on that, Cash for College, www.lacashforcollege.org or www.calgrants.org. So if they want information on the internet, cashforcollege.org or calgrants.org for the Cash for College, and you can get up to $4,000. So it's a wonderful program. Also, I want to mention that I'm sure Wendy Grew will be joining me on Sunday for Super Sunday, which is the Jewish Federation major fundraising event. So if you live in the city of Los Angeles, you expect a phone call, Super Sunday, where the Jewish Federation raises dollars for the wonderful programs carried throughout the city of Los Angeles. I will be there. Wendy, you're there every year, so Janice Hahn will be there. Erica, Tony, everybody will be there. So if you get the phone call, don't be surprised. Jalis was there. And Ed Reyes will be there. Everybody will be there, but cash for the Jewish Federation. Pardon me?
I said usually you raise the most money, and you're.
Well, I did one call. They gave me $10,000. It was incredible.
I think
thought
they
I
gave
was,
you that one, that they knew you were going to get it. So.
I don't know, something else. Anyway, so Jewish Federation Sunday, when you get the call, don't be surprised. So many of my colleagues will be there joining. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
Back to you,
Dennis.
Mr. President.
All right. If I can ask everybody in our council chambers to please rise for our adjourning motions. I'll start with Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you very much. It's my honor to adjourn in the memory of Eduvino Sanchez, who died on January 30th, 2009, from natural causes. Eduvino Sanchez was born in Lima, Peru on October 6, 1915, to Rosa and Felipe Sanchez. He was the oldest of 9 children. Eduvino started working to help his mother, father, and his siblings with the household income at an early age. Mr. Sanchez was a very intelligent, articulate, and hardworking man. As a young man, his family moved to the city of San Vicente, which was about 2 hours from Lima, Peru. He enjoyed playing football soccer so much that he created a football league in San Vicente. His work made him a respected man in his community. He also created the Transportation Syndicate, in which he facilitated that all the members have a policy which protects their rights. He had great passion for helping people and has fought for the betterment of his little town. His work as a community activist assured him a position as a city councilman in San Vicente, Peru. He married Carmen Sanchez in 1950 and had 9 children. Mr. Sanchez was a very hardworking individual who earned the respect, love, and great admiration from his children, family, and the many, many friends that he has. Mr. Sanchez passed away again on January 30th, 2009, at the age of 93. His exemplary life, his endless love for his children will never be forgotten, and he's survived by his wife, Carmen Sanchez, and his 9 children, and his many, many beautiful grandchildren.
Thank you. Ms. Hahn.
Thank you. I'd like us to adjourn in the memory of Gloria Wall, who was a pillar of the San Pedro community. She passed away Wednesday at the age of 88. She was born in 1920 on Terminal Island, where her father ran the Harbor Boat Building Company. Then she moved with her family to San Pedro in 1925. She attended Mary Star of the Sea Grammar School, Immaculate Heart High School, and Immaculate Heart College, where she graduated in 1942 after majoring in business and music. She met her husband-to-be, a young police officer named Andy Wall, just as World War II broke out. He became an aviator in the Coast Guard, and the couple was married in 1943. They later bought the Al Larson Boat Shop, which still remains in the family today. Gloria served on numerous boards, including those overseeing banks, hospitals, San Pedro Boys and Girls Club. She was named Woman of the Year by the Boy Scouts. Gloria is survived by 4 sons, Andy Jr., Jack, George, and Chris. She had 10 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. She was preceded in death by a daughter, Terry Wall Almerath. Visitation will be 1 to 7. With a vigil service at 7 p.m. Sunday at McNerney's Mortuary Chapel in San Pedro, and then the funeral mass will be celebrated at 10:30 Monday morning at Mary Star of the Sea Catholic Church with the burial at Green Hills. The family has asked that in lieu of flowers, donations can be made either to Mary Star High School or the San Pedro Boys and Girls Club. She certainly is a legend in San Pedro and will be greatly missed.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Mr. Weezer.
Thank you very much. Colleagues ask that we adjourn today in the memory of Andres Bermudez Viramontes, better known as El Rey del Tomate. In English, it is the Tomato King. He passed away yesterday from stomach cancer. He was born in my hometown of Jerez, Zacatecas, in Mexico, and he was born in July of 1950. He moved to the United States while in high school, where he worked as a laborer in Sacramento area and eventually became a very successful tomato producer, hence the nickname, the Tomato King. He gained national significance when he became one of the first expatriates from Mexico to go back to his hometown and run for mayor, which he won, and he was the mayor of Jerez, Zacatecas from the year 2004 to 2007. After that, he served as a representative to the Mexican states, similar equivalent of our U.S. representatives. He had been serving there since 2006. He was known because he was, as a people's person, as many of you know, with the pre-institutional party that had ruled Mexico since the Mexican Revolution. Not too long ago, there have been more open elections, and with that came the opportunity of people who were not anointed or appointed to be successors. He really led a people's movement to be elected. He was your very untypical politician, hardly ever wore suits. He was known for his black shirt, his cowboy black hat, and his black boots. And in fact, when he first got to the Mexican Congress, he got in a tussle with the protocol because he did not want to take off his hat. He said that signified his roots, that he came from a rural area, from an area that he wanted to proudly represent, that people like him could succeed and become elected officials. He has a strong following in Zacatecas. His body will be flown from Houston, Texas, where he passed away, to Jerez, Zacatecas, where it will be viewed, and they're working to possibly bring back the body to the United States because in the current law it's not allowed, but they're looking to make that possible because people on both sides of the border really want to see him and pay their last respects. He was a great person that I got to know when I went down there on several occasions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there adjourning motions? If not, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll? We'll next be in session this coming Tuesday at 10 a.m. back in the City Hall chambers downtown in City Hall. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we will see you then. This meeting of the Los Angeles City Council is adjourned.